In the bustling town of Gradientville, 3 adventurers, Batch, Stock, and Minnie, set out to find the legendary golden artifact of optimality, hidden deep within the Error Valley. The path to the treasure was fraught with challenges, and their guide, Professor Loss, warned them about the treacherous Error Peak they would need to descend. Professor Loss said you'll need to adjust your approach with every step. Each clue on the map represents part of the information you'll need to find the best route. Choose your method wisely, for it will determine your journey's fate. Batch spent hours poring over all the clues on the map, thousands of them. After analyzing every single one, he carefully calculated the optimal direction for his next step. With his calculations complete, he took a single, deliberate stride down the Error Peak. Batch exclaimed, "Perfect! But now, I must consult all the clues again before my next step." And so, Batch repeated the process for every move. His progress was slow and methodical, but he avoided most pitfalls. Meanwhile, Stock grabbed one random clue from the map and immediately took a step based on it. Stock said, "Who needs all the clues when I can just act on one at a time?" He quickly grabbed another random clue, took another step, and repeated the process. At first, his steps were wild and unpredictable, sometimes heading toward the treasure, sometimes veering off course. He stumbled and slipped a few times, even falling into small ravines. Minnie warned, "Careful, Stock." Stock replied, "Bah! I'll get there faster than Batch." Stock continued his erratic but energetic descent. Minnie observed both Batch and Stock and shook her head. Minnie thought, there has to be a better way. Minnie decided to divide the map into smaller batches of clues, each containing a manageable number of hints, let's say 50 at a time. She analyzed the clues in her first batch, averaged their guidance, and took a step based on that. Minnie realized this isn't as slow as reading the whole map like Batch, and it's not as risky as relying on just one clue like Stock. Minnie continued her journey, processing each batch of clues in turn. Her steps were steady and consistent. While she wasn't as fast as Stock in the short term, she avoided his frequent missteps. And though she wasn't as precise as Batch, she moved much faster overall. Days later, the 3 adventurers reached the treasure. Batch said, "I didn't make a single wrong step." Batch arrived last, exhausted but proud of his perfectly calculated path. Stock exclaimed, "I got here first. Sure, I fell a few times, but speed is what matters." Stock arrived much earlier, albeit covered in scratches and dirt from his reckless journey. Minnie stated, "I found the treasure too, and my journey was both efficient and reliable." Minnie arrived shortly after Stock, calm and composed. Professor Loss appeared and clapped his hands. Professor Loss explained, "Well done, adventurers. Your journeys teach us valuable lessons about solving problems with large data sets. Batch gradient descent represents full batch gradient descent, uses the entire dataset for each step, ensuring precise updates. Works well for small datasets but is too slow for large ones. Stochastic gradient descent, SGD. Stoch's impulsive approach corresponds to SGD, uses one data point at a time, making it fast but noisy, often veers off course before eventually converging. Mini-batch gradient descent. Minnie's balanced method represents mini-batch gradient descent, processes smaller chunks of data for each step, balancing speed and stability, combines the strengths of both approaches, and is the most practical for real-world problems.